Well, if you recall what happened with Pussy Riot in Russia when they made their little impromptu dance in front of a cathedral and disrupted a ceremony, I know a lot of people in the West said, the heck with them. But I kind of understood there's something underlying going on besides what appears to be on the surface. First off, I'm going to say this. Any Westerner, they talk like they're badass and stuff like that in the rock groups. They're going to do this. They're badass. They would not do that. They would not do that. They talk the talk, but you got to say one thing about these women. They really did it. You know what I mean? And this one member. Now, I'm going to point out a couple other things besides what hits on the surface. Something that Amnesty International isn't pointing out. Nobody's pointing out because that's why I point this stuff out, because nobody else does. Nadezhda, I think that's how you say her name, said she's having her 24th birthday in jail, right? She said her family has not been, she's never heard of, the family hasn't heard from her since she's been transferred to a prison colony in Siberia on October 22nd. Now, by law, the Russian authorities got 10 days to actually say, they're transferring a person. They don't, and afterwards, then it's supposed to be against the law. But what are you going to do, right? So it's been a while. And up in this area, they said there's a lot of snow, minus 20 degrees Celsius, which comes out to, I think minus 18 degrees Celsius is 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's very cold. And they don't know where she's hiding, where they're hiding her. So it says after being jailed, Tolokonnikova, I can't even say her name, man. Tolokonnikova penned a letter published in Russian media listing alleged abuses in her old prison colony, including round-the-clock slave labor work, slave labor work, beatings, and lack of sanitary facilities. So, typical what the Western media portrays a Gulag as. It's very bad. So, but I have to say one thing. This person was not afraid. She knew what was coming up. I'm sure she knew what was coming up. And, for all the badasses out there in the rock world, in the Western world, they talk the talk, but, she's actually taking the punishment. So you got to have a lot of respect in that way. But here's my main point. Coming up. In this statement basically reveals it because it's coming from Russia, basically. Prosecutors have maintained that Pussy Riot members inflicted substantial damage to the sacred values of the Christian ministry. Not to the church itself, not the material, but the sacred values. Infringed upon the sacrament mystery of the church, and humiliated in a blasphemous way the age-old foundations of the Russian Orthodox Church. Now, I'm going to tell you this. The whole deal behind this is this. Communism has not went away. And this whole basically statement coming from, what the Russians said about them, the prosecutors said about Pussy Riot, reflects this. You see, the strategy has changed. You see, before it was Vladimir Lenin that said that the religion was the opiate of the people, correct? The religion was the opiate of the people. So, basically, they would have underground churches anyway. It was too hard for them to stamp out. But then again, it's like the state uses religion now to control the people because the people automatically go to this control. So in other words, now, basically, this is saying this is an affront to the state, not an affront to the church. It's an affront to the state. See, actually, the church, by its own teachings, would be more in forgiveness. Now, if there was a punishment to fit this crime, it would probably be something like so many hours of community service, not gulag, disappear in the gulag in, freezing cold weather someplace and be subjected to like round-the-clock slave work labor, unsanitary conditions, and all this other stuff that goes on. In other words, the punishment did not fit the crime in any way, shape, or form. But it was not the church that dished out the punishment, it was the state. See, the state is actually using the church now to control the people. That's why you have Vladimir Putin go to church and everything like that. So, that's the whole deal. And this statement basically reveals that. That's what's wrong with this whole thing. But, you have to say, what was actually Pussy Riot doing? Was it actually against the church, or was it against the protest? Was it against the church, or was it against the state? You see what I'm saying? See, a lot of people in the West would look at this and say they're just being a bunch of brats against the church. But no, it probably was not in that way, because in Russia, the church and the state are basically the same thing. Basically, the old communists got shrewder. They got much, much shrewder. They said, if religion is the opiate of the people, let's control it. Let's own it. So this is why prosecutors from the state have got involved in this and made such a severe example out of them. I mean, if this was in communist times, and the theory of the control freaks on the top was saying that the church is something bad, they would have welcomed this. They would have welcomed this. They're not worried about it inflicting damage on the church. They're worried about it as being a protest against the state authority. You see what I'm saying? So that's the whole deal, and and that's exactly what's going on. So basically, Vladimir Putin has these people locked up downstairs in the Gulag, or whatever the hell it is, medieval times, and that's the reason behind it. That's the reason behind it. It's not so much that the state gives a damn about the church. The state gives a damn with the Russian state, talking about Putin and boys and all those people on the top. Vladimir Putin, Vladimir Zhirinovsky, Vladimir Lenin from past times. State controls all. So when you're actually putting an affront to the Russian Orthodox Church, it's an affront to the state. That is why this punishment was so severe. And it's so freaking outlandishly ridiculous. It's beyond... It's exponentially severe compared to the crime. I mean, this type of thing that they did should have been something like community service, Actually, they get up in front of here and they do this type of stuff. Did they go in there and try to, destroy anything? No. They did this stupid little act. It's like, it's over with, It's over with. So, therefore, the state doesn't like it, though. And that's what's going on. Because, actually... the church people might have got mad initially, but most of the church people, or even the most staunch Orthodox Russian Christians, would just, after a while look at this and say, these girls are just being idiots, and they would not punish them this much. But it's coming from the state, because like I said, the state is using the Orthodox Church to control the people. It's a new strategy. It's a new strategy. So, that's something a lot of people are missing.